Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson turned off all the cameras the second the World Cup was over. Have fun, Seattle. The safety should be very, very exciting. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Whoever would have thought that the candidate with the Nazi tattoo, who bragged about getting excited in porta potties and allegedly said he wanted to rape home invaders but not in a gay way, that's a direct quote, by the way, is also allegedly a rapist. Never saw that one coming. Never saw that one coming at all. If you don't know what we're talking about, Graham Platner, the embattled Democrat candidate, has now had the entire Democrat Party, with a few notable exceptions, completely turn on him and say that they are not supporting him and they're calling for him to drop out of the race. Why are they doing this now? Because on July 13th, that is the final day they have to replace him on the ballot. So it's allegation after allegation after allegation after allegation after allegation. And yet the Democrats stood by him. Let's go through some of this guy's greatest hits. Tell you what the Democrats stood by him for. In fact, talked about how wonderful he was, even after these allegations came to light. You remember what Bernie Sanders said about Graham Platner?
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Platner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
Yes, the Oyster Gruppenführer. Well done. That's the man you wanted. Remember what Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself, said about Graham Platner?
That's my kind of man.
That's her kind of man. Okay. Well, the Democrats didn't dump Graham Platner when old Reddit posts surfaced in which Platner described himself as a communist. In fact, that's when Elizabeth Warren said,
That's my kind of man.
Excellent. He also used police rhetoric, disparaged rural white Americans, discussed being supportive of political violence, and made comments suggesting that women should take some responsibility, direct quote, to avoid sexual assault.
That's my kind of man.
That was in October of 2025, by the way. That was last October. Nobody said anything when his political director, Genevieve McDonald, resigned, calling Platner unelectable after the Reddit controversy of his comments became public shortly thereafter. You know, where he talked about getting really excited in outhouses. And in fact, when he sees the blue water, he gets excited still to this day. In fact, Elizabeth Warren stood by him through all that.
That's my kind of man.
That's what she said. I have questions about Elizabeth Warren's husband now. Nobody said anything. Democrats defended him when a video revealed that he had a chest tattoo of a Nazi SS Totenkopf symbol just 4 days later. In fact, it seems like so many of them at that point said we're going to support him even more. That's when Bernie Sanders said this.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Platner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
Yeah, never mind the Nazi tattoo and these awful comments and, you know, it's women's fault they got raped. Sure, yeah, no problem whatsoever. We'll just keep going here. Platner's campaign manager, finance director, treasurer, and other senior staff departed amid continuing fallout from the earlier controversies in November. And yet the Democrats still stood by him. Even after the party that says believe all women found out that there were attempts to have the departing staff sign non-disclosure agreements. In May, the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times both reported that Platner's wife had informed senior campaign staff that he had exchanged sexually explicit messages with multiple women while married. Campaign aides reportedly knew of the issues. And you'd think that would be it, and that any candidate would be done after that. You'd think. No, my friends. No. But wait, there's more. In June, while reporting expanded to include allegations involving inappropriate online communications. Okay, that's a tame way of saying he was on a predator website. A predator website. I don't mean like the drones. That would be pretty cool. That would be that. Yeah. Instead, it's this website Kick, which apparently is I don't know anything about it. I've never been on it, but it's apparently a predator website. And you start putting all these things together, and Elizabeth Warren still sticking by him.
That's my kind of man.
Indeed. Then we also find out that he had I love the way this is phrased, prior conduct involving sex workers abroad. That's right. Prior contact. Oh, hello, miss. Can you give me directions to the pier, perhaps? I need to get back to my base tonight. All aboard. And then claims of abuse from former girlfriends. Okay. They stood by him through all that. Yesterday, Politico reported allegations from a former girlfriend, Jenny Rassicott, that Platner sexually assaulted her during an alleged 2021 incident after arriving intoxicated at her home. Rassicott said she had confided in others about the incident. It was actually traced back through documents from her therapist. It was traced back to other witnesses. And you know the worst part of this story? The New York Times knew about this woman and chose not to investigate it. So Politico goes, hey, you know what? This guy's done. This guy's cooked. We might as well get a story out of it. They found the woman. They spoke to the woman. They investigated the story. And guess what? Now every single Democrat is turning on Graham Platner. Wait a minute. There's one who hasn't turned on him yet. Bernie Sanders was the last one to turn on Graham Platner. You know who the last one was who hasn't turned on him yet? You have an idea?
That's my kind of man.
Elizabeth Warren is the only one who hasn't made a public statement yet about Graham Platner. What this actually goes to show, you know what I think would be fun? Let's have Donald Trump call on Graham Platner to step out of the race. Then all the Democrats will support him. It'll be great to watch. It'll be amazing to watch. That is what will happen. The Democrats would literally support Satan himself if he identified as a Democrat. Because for them, it's about winning the next election, not about any character, not about any values or morals whatsoever. The communists are literally taking over the Democrat Party, and what do we keep hearing out of these guys? It's a big tent. It's a big tent. It's got space for everybody. Even though these aren't Democrats. Even though these are communists. Communists who hate America. But we've heard from the talking points that go out, we've heard all the Democrats say, well, the most important thing, like Susan Del Bene, getting back the gavels, we played this clip for you last week, getting back the gavels so we can go after Trump and we can do the people's business and we can get things done. They would literally run anybody if they thought it would help them win. And they are running literally anybody. You look across the country, people who hate America, people who are members of Al-Qaeda, people who are sympathetic towards Hamas. You look at all these candidates who hate capitalism, who believe, and it's not socialism, the media keeps polishing it up, polishing a little turd, that's socialism. It's not socialism. It's literal communism. And they keep talking about, oh, no, it's just socialism. It's just socialism. It'll be perfectly fine. It's not. It's not. So Graham Platner right now is probably feeling pretty abandoned by his party because all these people who supported him are now calling on him to drop out of the race. I think it'd be pretty funny if he screwed all of them. And he just said July 13th came and go. He's sticking through it. Here's something else. They're trying to Joe Biden him. I told you, when they did what they did to Joe Biden was the one who won the Democratic primary. The actual Democratic way to replace Joe Biden would have been to have another primary. But the Democrats said instead, Joe Biden cannot win. We're going to run Kamala Harris instead. Hey, look at all this millions of dollars we've raised. Let's just move it right on over to Kamala Harris. And let's be clear. Do you know why Graham Platner is being called upon to drop out? It's not because of a Politico article. It's not because of outhouses. It's not because of a Nazi tattoo. It's because his fundraising numbers came in yesterday. And all these scandals have affected his fundraising, and people don't want to give him money anymore. But worse than that for Graham Platner is that all of it has affected his polling, and people don't want to vote for him anymore. And the Democrats know they can't take back the Senate if he loses. But they are more than happy to Joe Biden Graham Platner, which means they're just going to shove him to the side and bring in the next candidate, not because of all his scandals, but because he can't win. And the truth is the Democrats have nobody to blame but themselves for not vetting this guy. I truly believe in my heart of hearts they could have found another socialist, another communist, another oyster farmer to run for office. But they were so desperate to keep this guy in the race that after they screwed up in not vetting him, they just kept doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. So the Me Too party, people who said believe all women, literally didn't believe any of them, or they believed them just fine, and they said, nah, no big deal. No big deal at all. And just kept pushing on and pushing on and pushing on. They thought they would get through it. You would think that after their experiences with Eric Swalwell, you remember him? Eric Swalwell allegedly stooped that Chinese spy named Fang Fang, but was caught on video stooping some ladies of the night, shall we just say. That Eric Swalwell, you would think they would have learned their lesson from that. But no, they just kept doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. Fox News ran Swalwell's little statement addressing this stuff back to back with Graham Platner's. They're almost identical.
That you see and hear from me directly.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
I'm going to spend time with my family and friends, and I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support.
We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love.
Mark.
You guys use ChatGPT to do this, or you guys just, send out the same person or write the same apology? Almost sounded identical. Now, there's some people on the horseshoe right who are still defending Graham Platner also, which is the craziest thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, no joke, man. Marjorie Taylor Greene popped up on The View today because now that she's not really a Republican anymore, they're happy to have her on the show. What did she show up on The View for? To defend Graham Platner. And Zach's going to like this one. You're going to want the music for this one. Not just to defend Graham Platner, but to say this is all a conspiracy by the Jews. I can't make this stuff up. Give a listen. I can't make this up.
That you tweeted yesterday that you kept up. You seem to imply that AIPAC might be involved with the latest allegations of sexual assault by Graham Platner. Well, criticism of AIPAC is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Okay.
Well, criticism of AIPAC is perfectly legitimate political discourse. Do you not understand that this plays into anti-Semitic tropes about Jews controlling things, about Jews and money and power and politics? What do you even mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is it's unfortunate that rich donors that put Israel first are playing in American politics.
Well,
just like my
AIPAC
friend
is
Thomas
American
Massey.
donors, to be clear. It's Americans who care about the
No,
U.S.
no, no. They care about Israel first. Israel is committing genocide.
You
committing
do know that under
murdering
federal
children.
law, only American citizens can contribute to AIPAC.
Let me tell you, the future of this country is Americans are sick and tired of funding Israel's genocidal wars that are killing children.
Millions of Americans,
in Gaza
including me, support Israel, for the record. That may be your
I don't support the government of Israel. I support people. And I support Americans, and I support our tax dollars being used for our purposes.
Do you see how this
However, AIPAC took out one of my good friends, Thomas Massey. Okay, and Thomas Massey worked for his district.
Thomas Massey
also
lost
worked
because Donald
against
Trump
me.
endorsed against Thomas Massey.
Thomas
to be clear,
Massey
you're going to
lost
blame
because
AIPAC
Miriam
now?
Adelson.
Because it feels like blaming
Miriam
the Jews.
Adelson put
It
in-
feels like you're blaming the
No,
Jews.
Yes, we're blaming the Jews of Kentucky because there's a ton of Jews in his district out in Kentucky. We know that what Kentucky is known for, bluegrass and Jews. Yeah, the Jews took out Tom Massey.
Is that what that club in New York was called? CBGB, Country Bluegrass and Jews?
And Jews, yeah. Yeah, the Jews took out Tom Massey. Not Trump endorsed his opponent. Not the fact that all these people in Kentucky who aren't Jewish, by the way, voted for the other guy. Not the fact that Tom Massey went against Donald Trump in a district that voted 90% for Donald Trump. It was the Jews. It was the Jews, right? That's what it is. This is the nonsense we're spewing now. So now you came to defend Graham Platner so you could bash the Jews? I tell you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I didn't like her from day one. I never liked this broad. I never liked her at all. Never, ever, ever, ever. Especially when I found out about the space laser. Funny, but never, ever liked her. By the way, that wasn't all the crazy. She had more. She said that apparently there was a tweet which Marjorie Taylor Greene put out where she was claiming that Graham Platner's accuser was using the rape allegations for politics. Marjorie Taylor Greene did not like being confronted on this at all by the ladies of The View.
Let me ask you this, because yesterday on X, in a now deleted post, you accused Platner's accuser of doing, quote, rape for politics, end quote, stating that she had consensual sex with him years ago.
No, I didn't accuse. I said women should report rape.
Right,
Because
early
you want
on.
to know why? We want to get these rapists off the street.
Early on in the tweet, and I'll tell you, I'm a former sex crimes prosecutor. As they were trying to,
yeah, but you're
let me finish.
misquoting me. I wish you'd put if you put my deleted tweet.
I think we have it.
We have it.
Put it up, please.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
We'll get it. Okay. Will they look for it?
But I just want to make sure my words aren't
We'll
twisted
get it.
around.
Can someone bring my phone out to me?
This is the best
don't
part.
have your
They
phone?
literally
Since when do you
bring
not
the
have your
producer
phone?
over with the phone.
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Well, what I recall, because I do have the post, but it has now been deleted, you did say that women should report early. And I will tell you, as a former sex crimes prosecutor, women, it is the most underreported crime in our country because women are not believed and because it is very difficult. They're defamed.
Not believed and defamed by the Democrat Party. But sure, let's keep going with this.
And it's very difficult for them to do it.
Right.
Also, I will tell you, you also wrote that she had consensual sex with him years ago. The fact that someone dates people or has had consensual sex with them previously does not mean that they cannot be raped. Married women can be raped. Sex workers can be raped.
Of course.
And that is often, because I've handled some of those cases.
You and I are in agreement here.
Well, we're not.
No,
because I
actually,
want to know why you would post that and accuse her of rape for politics.
Well, I would like to know why you wouldn't put up my actual post.
Because we're going to do it.
Okay, great.
Here we go.
Because I wasn't accusing her.
Your exact quote, was, if you are raped or sexually assaulted, report it immediately. Yes. Don't wait for years later until the man runs for office to go to news outlets to tell your story.
Boom. Destroyed by Sonny Hostin. One of the lowest IQ people on The View, but going head-to-head with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's one of the lowest IQ members of the, I guess, Republican Party, but not really even in the Republican Party anymore. I mean, this is the desperation. This is the desperation, blaming the Jews, blaming everybody else. he was a bad candidate. He was a terrible candidate. And what's crazy to me is rather than admit they made a mistake, the Democrats doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, went all the way until they couldn't do it anymore. When a lefty outlet like Politico comes out with that story with verified claims and actual evidence, you cannot deny it anymore. Except for one person who still likes Graham Platner.
That's my kind of man.
Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren still hasn't called on him to resign from the race. And what's even funnier about this, the longer she waits, the worse it gets. She's just worried that every single TV station is going to put up her call for him to step out of the race side by side with this.
That's my kind of man.
And it's already happening on social media. The Democrats would literally support Satan himself if he said he was going to vote to impeach Donald Trump. Let's be real. They didn't vet this guy, and they supported him till the end, which is nuts, even though it has now jeopardized their chances of taking back the Senate. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. That's why the Democrats are backing all these terror supporters. Speaking of supporting terror, my friends, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson had the bright idea to turn off all the security cameras in Seattle now that the World Cup is over, painting a giant bullseye on our city. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, yesterday didn't have the result us Americans were looking for. That was a pretty brutal loss. But we should just be happy for the journey. Happy the U.S. got so far. Happy that for a few weeks Seattle was cleaned up. Happy that there was patriotism in the Emerald City for a few weeks, no matter how short it was.
And I'm happy for my Norwegian heritage. We're still in it, baby.
My Jewish heritage, we don't usually get very far in sports matches. Would you like this leaflet on famous Jewish sports heroes? Yeah, I got nobody to root for. Now I just hope that all the terrorist countries are getting eliminated. So like Egypt got eliminated today, and I'm like, yes, that's awesome. You kicked those terrorist supporters right out of that match. Well, here's the thing, guys. Even though the World Cup matches are not coming to Seattle anymore, the World Cup isn't over. There's going to be more matches. And I assume that those viewing areas are still going to be a thing through the end of the tournament. Last time I checked, I believe they're going till the end of this week, if I'm not mistaken, until that part of the tournament is over. Now, yesterday, I went down to hang out with our friends from Northwest News Radio down at the stadium who were doing a great broadcast from down there. And I took one of the death bikes, by the way, Zach. I took a death bike. I didn't like the death scooter as much. The death bike, I feel like I have more control over. Getting around the people near that barge at the waterfront, they were everywhere. It was tough. It was hard. And I'm trying to get down there on the death bike. Almost died like 6 times. It's a whole thing. Now I understand why they're so dangerous. But as I'm trying to go down there, as I'm trying to get down there, there's people everywhere. And there's people watching this stuff. Seattle is still a target. Seattle still has crime. Seattle still has problems. And yet, even though the city was cleaner, even though the city was nicer, even though all these people said, what are they talking about, people like Ari Hoffman? It's not some kind of hellscape. Now, to show her leftist base how progressive she is, second that World Cup was over, boom. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson ordered that the surveillance cameras be shut off. Quote, effective this morning, the stadium district cameras are turned off. This follows through on the commitment I made last month that these particular cameras would only be turned on for the duration of the FIFA World Cup in Seattle. Yeah, because I'm sure that Mariners games aren't a target either. Well, let's be real. The Mariners aren't a threat to anybody. I'm sure that the Mariners games aren't a threat or anything else that happens over at now back to Lumen Field. What about regular street crime? Right before this controversy over the cameras, multiple suspects were apprehended, including the ones who beat up a 70-year-old man for no reason whatsoever because of these cameras. Wilson said the cameras will remain offline while the city awaits an independent audit of policies governing Seattle Police Department surveillance cameras and the Real-Time Crime Center. This audit is expected this fall and will guide future decisions about whether to reactivate the cameras or expand the system. Here's what's going to happen. The study is going to say, reactivate the system. It's going to say, expand the system. And Katie Wilson's going to go, nah, we're not going to do it because it'll piss off her progressive base. You understand that all the stuff she did for the World Cup, everything that was done in Seattle for the World Cup, really ticked off her progressive base, where now we literally have people like Hannah Krieg from The Burner, the writer from The Stranger who got fired, talking about how she's mad at Katie Wilson and wants to find somebody more progressive. Oh, Zach, I didn't get your feedback on this. We did a little poll last week. Hannah Krieg put out a post. That's a look at me post, which is, if anybody wants to talk about The Stranger, I'll go on your show. And my wife goes, invite her on. And I go, how about no? And we put it up to a vote. It was split 50-50. And I'm like, I don't want to have that terrorist-supporting, highway-blocking lunatic on the show. And my wife goes, that'll make for great radio. What do you think, young Zach?
Oh, yeah, I think you do it.
Yeah, you think I do it?
Yeah.
All right. When you and my wife are in sync, that's usually like a good sign that may be an idea to do. I don't know, man. Fine. Okay. We'll have the crazy lady on the show. We'll do that. And then I get to tell her to her face that the reason she's not in jail is because I told people that arresting her would be a bad move. Whole freedom of the press kind of thing. Well, that's a whole different conversation. But anyway, Katie Wilson is trying to win back her progressive friends. So I asked everybody if they thought it would be a matter of minutes, hours, days, or weeks when Seattle returned to itself. I was coming back up here. I had to walk last night because all desk scooters were broken and the train was insane. So I had to walk back to the studio last night. And when I got up here, guess what? Homeless people were already moving back in around Seattle Center. That didn't take very long. She's trying to win back the support of her progressive Looney Tune friends. And the problem here is that it's going to turn the city back into what it was, but the international media will be gone, and we'll be stuck with it. And we'll be stuck with a 37% vacancy rate in downtown. And we'll be stuck with criminals getting away with whatever they wanted because she turned off the cameras and because we don't have police. Man, that was quicker than I thought. I thought we might get cruise season out of this, but maybe that was just a little too optimistic. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's up, man?
You bring up a very valid point, because with these cameras being turned off, this means that not only does Katie Wilson hate police, but she wants more killings because of this, which will go undetected.
She wants more crime. She wants to let the drug addicts do whatever they want. She wants the people who are doing murders and rapes and you name it, assaults, robberies. She wants it all to go undetected. She's going to claim it's about ICE. ICE was operating on freeways while the entire World Cup was going on. I don't think they really need those cameras very much. Leonard, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. On our earlier topic, Dan Smith says, I really feel the need for Celebrity Deathmatch to return. You remember that claymation show on MTV? It was great. Imagine Elizabeth Warren, a.k.a. Pocahontas, versus Space Laser Marjorie Taylor Greene. In fact, Robin Lakewood asked me to use the Space Laser to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene. Funny you should mention it. I do have my Space Laser switch here. It is my day with the Space Laser. Mike got this for me as a present. It's got two settings on it, Jew and Gentile. And we can use my little switch here to take out Marjorie Taylor Greene. See, this is what you get when you watch the video of the show over on the social media channels.
Do you think there's space laser hair removal?
If so, keep it away from me. I got enough hair problems as it is. But sure, let's just fire up the old Space Laser here and see what we can do with it. Did I miss? I haven't used it in a long time. Look, there's not that many of us, but there's only a few of us that get to use the Space Laser. It's a rotation. I'm sorry. I didn't really get to use it today. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Is Jay Inslee running for president? Yes, I know. Scary. Horrifying. We'll tell you why he might be when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Looks like J.D. Vance's MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is collapsing before our eyes. So, last night, Iran decided it would be a good idea to start attacking tankers in the Strait of Hormuz again. Well, in response, the U.S. clawed back oil sanction waivers. Those are the ones that allowed the Iranians to sell oil as part of the framework deal that kicked off a 2-month negotiating period after Iran attacked the commercial vessels. A U.S. official confirmed that 3 commercial vessels were struck by Iran in the Strait of Hormuz between Monday and Tuesday, reigniting tensions, according to Fox News, after President Donald Trump said the U.S. had given Tehran a week off during funeral ceremonies for slain Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. So now, for the Ayatollah's funeral, we gave them a few days off. And immediately, what do they do? Because they're a bunch of genocidal, lunatic jihadists. Let's go attack some ships. Let's go do that. So the U.S. says, yeah, we're not going to let you sell oil anymore. And that was a key part of the Memorandum of Understanding. Now, here's something else really fun. If you're Iran and you want to attack somebody to go after the infidel, why don't you attack the infidels? Instead, they attacked Saudi Arabia's tanker and a Qatari tanker. So you're going after, oh, wait. Do I need to explain this to everybody? That all these guys come from different tribes and they were all at war with each other long before any of us showed up. The Sunnis hate the Shias hate the Sunnis. And I love when I see the people in the keffiyehs walking around, when they have the keffiyeh starter pack that they bought on Amazon, where one's wearing the white and black and one's wearing the green and one's wearing the red. And I go, you know, all those guys hate each other. You have no idea what you're doing. So Saudi Arabia is now mad at Iran again. Qatar is now mad at Iran again. Bahrain is now mad about the fact that Iran attacked a Saudi tanker and a Qatari tanker. Can we just go in and finish the job? Now, the U.S. launched strikes on Iran in response to this. U.S. Central Command posted just before the show began that American forces began launching a series of quote-unquote powerful strikes against Iran in response to Tehran's attacks on commercial ships in an international waterway. Quote, U.S. Central Command forces have begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. The U.S. strikes are in response to Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. Can we just finish the job now? I don't think this diplomacy with these genocidal lunatics is going to work. Did you see the posters they were holding up during the funeral? Did you see the posters they were holding up? They were calling for the death of Trump. You name it. Everybody. J.D. Vance, everybody. So I don't think this is really going to work out so well. But you know who sees opportunity when things are going bad in the Strait of Hormuz? Jay Inslee. That's right. Jay Inslee sees opportunity. Former governor of Washington. Jay Inslee's doing the interview circuit talking about green energy, talking about clean energy. And while he's doing that, he's telling a few doozies.
Well, this has been a disaster by Donald Trump on many measures. First off, he tore up an agreement. We had an agreement to keep them from becoming nuclear.
Okay, Jay, show us how stupid you are. It was not keeping anybody from becoming nuclear, or they wouldn't have had nuclear facilities.
We had open straits. The Obama agreement. We had the straits.
We paid them to not develop nuclear weapons, and guess what they did? They financed terror and developed nuclear weapons.
They're open, so he basically has dug a deep hole and pulled Americans down into it. Now we're trying to climb out of the hole. But there's a deeper lesson for this, I think, out of this terrible tragedy, which is this is the kind of thing happens when we continue to be dependent on fossil fuels. You know, no one has fought a war over bringing wind turbines through the Straits of Hormuz, and we've fought at least 2 wars. I was adamantly against the Iraq excursion.
Shut up, Jay. Just shut up. You know why? Your giant wind turbines, he called them turbines. I think he's confused between turbines that you wear on your head and turbines. Jay's not the smartest the smartest. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's not the brightest crayon in the box. You know how much oil those suckers use? A lot. So Jay Inslee, what is he thinking for running for president again? How did he do last time he ran for president? What was his exact polling amount when he ran for president last time?
0.0.
All right, let's see how this goes again. Yeah, run on that green energy platform. It'll do wonders for you. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Up next, looks like the ladies of The View are afraid of American flags. I kid you not. Maybe they think it's like getting stuck inside a plastic bag or something. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. The amount of people who freaked out over July 4th, I didn't have freaking out over COVID in my bingo cards. According to the Daily Wire, just days before Americans gathered in the nation's capital to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary festivities, the Washington Post published a report warning that the massive pyrotechnic display planned for July 4th could create hazardous levels of pollution and very unhealthy air quality around the National Mall. Okay, I didn't see anybody who cares about air quality around the National Mall. There were plenty of people from the Parks Department who care about such things, and they were very excited about the fireworks. What do you think's worse, the fireworks or the giant air show that went overhead with every plane known to man? Any of those? Maybe. But you're worried about the air quality from the fireworks. Just making sure I got that right. They also told everybody to beware of COVID, and you should wear your masks. I didn't see anybody wearing masks at any of this.
How about no?
Exactly. We're done with your nonsense, Washington.
I celebrated in Snohomish County, and I'm happy to report they didn't care.
Was it a good show?
Yeah.
It was a good show? Okay, good deal. I actually would prefer the
self-made.
weather.
It was a self-made.
Oh, a self-made show. My brother-in-law does one of those every year. Yes, it's very exciting. We have to clean it up the next morning. It's a lot of mess.
Highlight may have been a firecracker lit, thrown, stepped on under my cowboy boot while I consumed a beverage. It's a pretty good video. I'll show you after the show.
I like that. I've never been one for launching the fireworks myself. I like to watch other people do something. Though my brother-in-law one time, this was kind of funny. My brother-in-law lights off a firework, and it goes. And my sister-in-law is like, why do I feel so hot all of a sudden? An ember had gone down her shirt and lit part of the shirt on fire from the firework. That was kind of entertaining. We all have stories like this. Who doesn't have a story like this, right? Meanwhile, a New York Times reporter was roasted on social media after saying that the flyovers from the 4th of July felt like the apocalypse. The apocalypse. Dude, it was awesome. It was great. It was amazing. Please, New York Times, don't send this lunatic out to Seafair because they'll just be a party pooper. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from our friend Transit Joe. Transit Joe, make it quick, man. Don't have a lot of time today.
I rescind my endorsement of Jay Inslee for president because he has no idea that we need to protect freedom of the seas and we need to shut up and support our brave Navy regardless of our political persuasion. I mean, Jay Inslee might be the guy who funded the Climate Commitment Act, which I'll always appreciate because he restored public transit funding. But Jay Inslee should realize that for me to support him for president again, he should shut up and salute and support our troops. Supporting our troops is not supporting the president.
I love you, Joe. I really, really do. I love when you call and I love when you say things like that. God bless you, Joe. Happy belated 4th of July. Pleasure having you on the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, your chance to take the trip and keep the cash. And guess what? A little bit of an update on that Climate Commitment Act. Are Republicans going to be able to get Governor Bob Ferguson to call a special session to repeal the Climate Commitment Act or at least pause it? Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, details of the Tyler Robinson trial and the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and a Washington human rights commissioner gets the axe. But before we get to any of that, my friends, it is your chance to take the trip or keep the cash. That's right, my friends. Today, you have the choice of going to New York City, the city that never sleeps, my friends, or take $3,000 in cold, hard cash. All you have to do is text the word I give you to the number I give you. Do not text anything else. Do not text it more than once. And you only have half an hour to text it, guys. So those of you who show up later in the show, yeah, you don't get to enter. You have half an hour to text this thing. So today's word is tower, as in the Tower of Babel, as in Tower Records, as in you go up to the top of the Freedom Tower. TOWER. Text the word tower to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Becky in Enumclaw says over on the KVI text line, I really enjoyed the fireworks show and President Trump, all of it, it was great. I felt the exact same way. It was a lot of fun being there. This one here, the other Mike in Everett has a very entertaining question. Hey, Ari, with your Jewish space laser switch, I am guessing the two settings allow you to pick who you target, Jew or Gentile. I am curious, does a laser have different effects based on which one you are targeting? Funny you mention it. I do have the Jewish mother setting right here. Hang on a second.
Begin laser ignition! I'm in the laser! Laser on!
Does that about satisfy? I mean, the sound effect is pretty much the same, right? Frau Farbissina. A little different. Hang on. We can do the socialist setting right here. Hang on one second. I got this one.
Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers.
That's the socialist setting I got there. This one from Kelly in Seattle. Ari, let Inslee run for president. I would love to see the campaign ads against him that say he was so happy with his 12-year job performance in Washington, he decided to retire in Idaho. Yes, that would be great. Or how about this? If you ever need a tyrant who wants to have 975 days of emergency powers, pick Jay Inslee. If you ever want to destroy a state's economy, get Jay Inslee. If you ever want to spike your gas prices, get Jay Inslee. Oh, it'd be great. Jay, what state do you represent now? I love Washington. Yes, but Jay, where do you actually live? I still have a home on Bainbridge Island. Jay, where do you actually live, Jay? Idaho, and I love it because there's less taxes. This one here from the 425. Jay Inslee is a boob. Yes, not wrong there with all that. Jay Inslee. Yeah, actually, I kind of hope he runs for office. Can you imagine? All right, let's go through the Democratic hopefuls for a second here. Jay Inslee, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom. This is all fodder for me. We get deep thoughts with Kamala Harris back. I get to do my Inslee impression. I could have Inslee debating Gavin Newsom. This will be so much fun. Do the Democrats have anybody worth voting for? You might say Josh Shapiro. And I'll say, nope. He's a Jew. They're never going to elect that guy. They're never going to nominate that guy. They're so anti-Semitic. But Jay Inslee, he's got a little problem. His Climate Commitment Act is being called out by Republicans. Today, Washington State Senate Republicans sent a letter requesting that Governor Bob Ferguson call a special session to lower gas prices by pausing the Climate Commitment Act. Thanks to the Climate Commitment Act and Jay Inslee, Washington gas prices are close to $1.30 higher than the national average, according to AAA. That's because of the taxes. Oh, and don't forget, on July 1st, the gas tax went up some more. So, in this letter from Washington State Republicans, they wrote, fortunately, a more certain path to relief is available. It simply requires intervention from Olympia. Through a special legislative session, you have the authority to order. We believe many Washingtonians are desperate for such action. The senators argued that although tensions in the Middle East briefly pushed gas prices higher nationwide, prices have since fallen across much of the country, while Washington drivers continue paying the highest prices in the continental United States. That's right, Hawaii beats us. That's it. We're higher than California these days. Quote, the U.S.-Iran conflict had national gas prices surge to around $4.50 a gallon on average. The average price has now fallen below $4 a gallon. On July 1st, it stood at $3.85 a gallon. Do you know why they are specifically citing that? Because up until now, anytime Turd Ferguson was asked about the gas prices and the Climate Commitment Act, he would blame Donald Trump. Well, you can't blame Donald Trump anymore. By comparison, AAA reported Washington's average price for regular gasoline at $5.12 per gallon on July 1st, $1.27 more than the national average. Quote, the driver of a mid-size to full-size SUV with an 18-gallon tank is forced to pay an average of $22.86 more in Washington at every fill-up. Never mind the fact of what you have to do when you have a tractor and farming equipment or anybody that produces anything that uses gasoline, which is basically everything. Governor, we believe the Democratic cap-and-trade carbon tax is adding around 55 cents to the cost of every gallon of gas. The so-called low-carbon fuel standard program is now adding another 5 cents for a total carbon tax impact of 60 cents a gallon on Washingtonians' gas costs. The senators added that diesel fuel used by farmers and freight haulers is impacted even more heavily, driving up the cost of transporting food and other consumer goods throughout the state. The Climate Commitment Act, which was passed by Democrats in 2021, created Washington's cap and tax carbon market, requiring fuel suppliers and other major emitters to purchase carbon allowances. As a result of that, what happened? They are not going to just absorb those costs. They pass them on to the customers. So it spiked the gas prices. It also spiked the utility prices. Last week, Seattle City Light proposed a 19.9% utility rate increase over the next 2 years, with utility officials citing the cost of acquiring additional carbon-free electricity to meet growing demand. So you told everybody to get the electric cars, and you told everybody to get the heat pumps, and you told everybody to get the electric appliances, and look what happened. Because Washington law prohibits utilities from expanding fossil fuel generation, Seattle City Light must instead invest in or contract for more expensive resources such as wind, solar, geothermal, nuclear power, which they'll never do, battery storage, and transmission infrastructure. The Seattle City Light's existing hydroelectric dams continue to provide relatively inexpensive electricity, but future energy needs must be largely met through newer clean energy resources that carry significantly higher costs. And let's not forget the Democrats want to tear down those dams. Donald Trump, Representative Newhouse, Representative Baumgartner may have worked very, very hard to stop that. But I will tell you this, the second the Democrats back in office, you know that Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, who, by the way, just called on Graham Platner to resign. Literally just did it. I have a question. Where were you before all this, ladies? The next time you say believe all women, I'm just going to throw this guy back in your face.
I like to think Graham Platner was sitting there going, well, if Patty says it, I'll throw in the towel.
That's right. The mom in the stinky, stinky, stinky old tennis shoes. That's right. Patty Murray. Wait. Hang on, Zach. We're looking at this the wrong way. We got proof of life on Maria Cantwell. She's still alive. That's right. She only shows her face like once every year to tell you if there's going to be 6 weeks left of taxation season. That's about it. That's the only time you see her, or when she's running for re-election. So my question here is, Jay Inslee, how does he feel about his signature piece of legislation potentially being rolled back? Give a listen.
So we have the problem statement, which is real clear, which is Donald Trump giving us cost, chaos, and corruption. And we have the answer, which is clean energy, which is abundantly available. And fortunately, it's happening. 90% of all of the new generating capacity in the United States last year was clean, renewable energy. If he'll just get out of the way and stop his insane and corrupt bargain to try to force this dirty energy down Americans' throat. We're paying way too much.
We're paying hang on. We're paying way too much. Who made us pay way too much, Jay? Booby? Who did that? You proposed the Climate Commitment Act. You pushed it through the Washington State Legislature. You signed it into law. You lied. It's just going to be pennies. Pennies. That's what he was saying, right? Pennies? We're going to have the pennies. I can't count very high, so it's just going to be pennies, right? That's what he was saying? Yeah. And he lied about it the whole time, and now you expect us to believe you on this? Yeah. How about no? This is the kind of stuff. You know what else? This is my favorite. He also said this.
We are doing some incredible things in the United States if we just can get Trump to take his foot off our throats. The development of battery technology. I just was on a call just before I walked in here with a battery company, the developer.
I know what he was saying. Hang on. I think we have an exclusive audio of the call of Jay Inslee with the battery developer. Guys, I really need a job. I want to be governor again, but I'm not. And nobody listens to me, so I could be your spokesperson, or your tyrant if you need it. I could be that. Is on a call with a battery company, or is he just collecting his check?
Who, is developing a way to allow AI data centers to exist.
Uh-oh. Wait. Data centers. Oh, no. Jay Inslee said the bad word. The left don't like them data centers. This is why Jay Inslee's approval rating for running for office will still be 0.
It doesn't drain the whole grid and force all the costs on consumers. And also doesn't mean you have to burn coal or gas to do it. And these technological innovations that Americans are so adept at, that's what we do. We invent, we create, we build. And we're doing this in clean energy. We are creating a whole decarbonized economy. We're fully capable of doing that if we can just get Trump out of the way.
I think somebody's a little obsessed with Donald Trump. Hey, Jay, you know that if you do run for president again, you're not going to be running against Donald Trump, right? You do know this. You do understand this. Hang on. Can we go real quick? We have our in-house polling company now, right? Yes. Dean Wormer. Yes. From Faber University. He's going to be our in-house polling consultant from now on. Let's ask Dean Wormer. Dean Wormer, would you mind telling me exactly where Jay Inslee stands on the polling right now?
We are doing in some incredible...
No, that's Jay Inslee. That's not who I'm looking for. Dean Wormer.
0.0.
Thank you, Dean Wormer. We're going to have him here for election season from now on. We're just going to have him around. Very, very exciting stuff.
I'd like to know just what Trump is doing to be in the way in the eyes of Mr. Inslee.
Well, he can't get out. He's got his foot on the neck of American innovation.
I thought he was hyper-fixated on Middle Eastern wars, building an arch, and I don't know, whatever else he's doing.
Oh, who knows?
Painting pools.
Painting. I saw the reflecting pool.
How'd it look?
Magnificent.
Good.
It looked magnificent, but to be fair, they put fencing around it because so many people are trying to slice it now. Because people are actually trying to cut off the bottom. This is how deranged people are. So there's fencing around the whole thing. So it doesn't look as good as it could because they're worried about people vandalizing the thing, which is a little bonkers crazy.
How close can you get?
Oh, no, you can get right up to it.
Oh, okay.
But the fencing won't let you get within arm's reach of the pool.
Okay.
It's all around the thing.
Kind of like a breakfast at Tiffany's sort of deal. There's a deep blue something.
Yes, a deep blue something. Exactly right. What was beautiful was actually they are doing this thing for the America 250 where they are projecting images on the side of the Washington Monument. That, reflecting off the pool, really looks very, very cool at night. If you've never been to D.C., have you ever been to D.C., Zach?
I've been like 5 times.
Yeah, I was saying, you've been there before a bunch of times. I always tell people to go to the monuments at night. Number one, less of a line. But number two, they look much prettier at night, and it's usually cooler as opposed to
I usually tell people to go look at the space shuttle.
The space shuttle?
Yeah.
So I didn't get to the space shuttle this time.
It's kind of hard to get to.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
And
pain.
that's why people I formerly traveled with told me, we're not going again ever.
The space shuttle's pretty awesome, I will say. There's a lot of others. That's the other Air and Space Museum. You know what I was disappointed by this time? I didn't know it was timed entry for the Space Museum, the Air and Space Museum on the mall, and they just redid the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to make that timed entry. Went to the American History Museum instead. Had a lovely time. Got to see R2-D2. I was very, very happy. Yeah, good stuff. Anywho, don't worry about Jay Inslee, my friends. Gurmay Zahalai has a plan to save Washington's economy. He has a plan. Do you know what the plan is? Our King County executive? Making movies. Making movies. This is the plan. So I'm just going to read this from Como because we made fun of it at the time. You remember they were talking about building a movie studio in Harbor Island and then bringing back all the film companies to Washington? Does anybody want to tell our friends in King County that now all you need to make a movie is a cell phone and not even a green screen? It can get rid of the background for you. That now movie studios in Universal Studios California, they are tearing down their sound stages to make Nintendo World. That's what they're doing there. The backlot where they film the Westerns and the Roman movies and all that, it's for tourists now. It is literally just for the tram tour. And they keep cutting off more and more and more of it. So, according to Como News, after months of uncertainty and behind-the-scenes work, I see what they did there. The largest studio for film and video production in Western Washington has been given the green light once more. Create 48 Media Network, a Washington-based nonprofit, announced Tuesday that it reached an agreement with King County to support continued operations at Harbor Island Studios, the local production facility spanning over 100,000 square feet, with 2 sound stages, large production areas, production offices, green screens, and more. All right, Zach, do you know the number one problem with this? Actors get paid a lot of money. And now, thanks to your gajillionaire tax, your income tax, they now have to pay for every day they work in Washington State. Do you think they want to film here or somewhere in Ukraine? They would happily go to the war zone to film before coming here to Washington.
I'll put it this way. You know where they make a lot of movies?
Where's that?
Vancouver.
Exactly.
You know it's remarkably close and looks identical? Vancouver.
That's where they filmed every single one of those whatever they call it, the CW shows for the superheroes.
Well documented. I'm a big Joel McHale fan. He's got that sitcom Animal Control.
Yeah.
About an animal control agency in Seattle.
Yeah.
You know where they filmed that?
Vancouver.
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't Tacoma Fire filmed in Vancouver?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to film everything up there.
I think that's their sales pitch. Need trees? Vancouver.
Wait. Boys in the Boat wasn't even filmed here. The movie about the historic UW rowing team was not filmed in Washington. It was filmed with green screens. That's right. Now, something else that I find entertaining about this, I don't know why you're spending all the money on the soundstage. I could save you guys money right now. So now that the World Cup is over, you're going to go back to your usual ways of funding all the drug addicts. We're going to have our taxpayer-funded drug addicts. So what's going to happen is they're going to be out on the streets. You should just say zombie backdrops for free. Just come to Seattle. You can use the downtown. We'll give you whatever permits you want. You got the zombies ready to go. You want to make the Walking Dead sequel? No problem. You want to make another, I don't know, whatever zombie movie's coming out next with Brad Pitt, right? World War Z. You want to make one of those? No problem. You come to Seattle. We will take care of you, and you don't have any production costs. Yeah, you really think we're going to save everything with movies? The movie stars aren't going to come here. They don't want to lose their income. Also, Hollywood people get paid a lot of money. They don't want to film here. So great, you found some nonprofit to save your terrible project. This isn't going to work out well, my friends. It's just not. Up next, speaking of things that didn't work out well for the Human Rights Commission, one of their commissioners is now resigning. We'll tell you why and what he did when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder that this Saturday and Sunday is the Bremerton Air Show. That's right. KVI will be out there both days. I think Mr. KVI will be out there on Saturday. I'm going to be out there on Sunday. I'll be there in the morning part, so come. I think it's between 10 and 2 is when I'm going to be out there. So come on out. I will shake your babies and kiss your hands. Wait, that's not right. I'm not going to. No. I will take whatever pictures. I will sign whatever merch. It'll be very exciting. And we also have some free KVI giveaway items. For example, if you want the exact same KVI flag that I gave out to people in Washington, D.C., you can get one. If you want an exact similar copy of the Constitution I gave out to the people in Washington, D.C., I will give you one. We will have all that stuff plus so much more out at the Bremerton Air Show. We will also be out there with our sister stations, 101.5 FM at Hank FM, and we will also have Northwest News Radio. They will be out there as well, and they will have their own giveaway items. Will be lots of fun for everybody. So coming out to the Bremerton Air Show, and I'm very, very excited to go around and look at the planes. I love the air show. It's a lot of fun. I will see you on Sunday. Switching gears, I saw this. My wife and I are in Washington, D.C., and we've been covering this story together for about a month. Luke Jasmine. Remember this guy? Luke Jasmine is one of the Washington State Human Rights Commissioners. Why we need a Human Rights Commission in Washington is beyond me. Oh, I know, for oppressed conservatives. That's what it's for, right? The oppressed Oh, no, it's not for that. Are there massive human rights violations going on here in Washington? The only thing I can think of is what you're allowing illegal aliens and drug runners and human traffickers to do and what you allow happening on the streets. That's it.
I think you're mistaken. The world looks to Washington for its moral compass.
Ah, yes. That must be it. Well, they shouldn't look at the Human Rights Commission because Luke Jasmine, raging anti-Semite. Do you remember what he said? He's a really, really fun guy. This is what he said.
About the resolution, I feel kind of, it's like, do we have a push or are we under duress to put out a special resolutions for the Jewish community? Well, we have not put out any special resolution for the Black community, for the Arab community, for the Chinese community. I believe the laws of the human rights is for all.
Okay, time out. This is right after they passed one for the Arab community, for the Black community, for the Chinese community, for the Asian community, and for everybody else. He just didn't want one for the Jewish community, even though these resolutions are stupid and accomplish nothing.
And it's universal. It covers discrimination as it is, and in every facet of discrimination. Why do we feel compelled to put out a special resolution for the Jewish people?
No, that's a valid point. Human Rights Commission does represent all people within Washington. I think that in this time, it's especially important, given the social climate, that we take a strong stance on making sure that the Jewish community is being supported, and that we have a definition and a condemnation of anti-Semitism for Washington.
Well, this word anti-Semitism has been around since the Jews got trampled by Hitler.
It's been around a lot longer than that, my man.
And it seems like the Jewish people keep on crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, always crying with that anti-Semitism. And today there are many other groups who are subject to mistreatment.
Okay. It went on like that for a while. He kept referring to the Jewish. That was my favorite part. We're the Jewish now. Also accused Jews of massacring people in all these other places. He said a lot of awful things. But in my opinion, one of the worst things he said was actually not about the Jewish thing. When he did a follow-up interview with intrepid reporter Jessica Russack-Hoffman from the Jewish News Syndicate, he did an interview with her where he said that the Human Rights Commission bashes different groups of people all the time in their meetings. Maybe that's why it took so long for them to go online. So now Bob Ferguson's got a problem. Jay Inslee appointed this guy for no reason whatsoever. And now he's got a problem where people are mad about it. But you know Bob Ferguson. Bob Ferguson don't like controversy. So my wife and I are in Washington.
Or combs.
Or that too. That as well. Yes, or toothbrushes. Anyway, so Bob Ferguson, Turd Ferguson, on Friday. No, it's Thursday night. Thursday night before July 4th weekend when nobody's going to be in on Friday, puts out a little statement. Yeah, this guy's resigned and we're going to fill the position. No, he doesn't even say the guy's resigned. He just says, I'm going to fill the position as soon as possible. If you'd like to apply, here's the link. And he knows that nobody's in their newsrooms. Now, immediately what happens? Zach, I knew you weren't around. Zach proofreads my articles, checks them to make sure I don't screw anything up. He's good at that. So what did I do? I gave the story to the Post Millennial, right? Because I'm like, they have a weekend team who does holiday weekends and stuff. I'm going to send on over to them, even though we've been covering it for a while. Fine. No big deal. My wife simultaneously files this thing with Jewish News Syndicate. The Washington State Standard comes along yesterday. As first reported by us. Give me a break. We've been covering the story since last time you filled in for us, Zach, like 2 times ago. I think you chopped up this audio in the first place, right?
Yeah, I thought I was going to get some new content working today.
So what happens? This dude now resigns. The Washington State Standard does an interview with him where he feels like it's a witch hunt. Oh, really? Dude, okay, know your spot here. Why is he resigning? I will tell you why. Number 1, Turd Ferguson doesn't want the controversy. Number 2, Luke Jasmine's son is running as a Democrat for the Washington State Legislature, and his name is Luke Jasmine III. So the problem is you've got Luke Jasmine II, who made the comments, and Luke Jasmine III, who's running for office, and the guy's probably like, Dad, you're cooked. Now, I kind of want to know what this guy's qualifications are to be hired by the Washington State Human Rights Commission, which I still don't understand how he actually got that job. Was it just because they thought he was, I don't know, could barely speak English? What's the reason we give it to him? Who knows? Because he's Haitian? Why are we doing that? We have no idea why. Anywho, this dude has now resigned, and they'll probably appoint another anti-Semite or far-left radical to fill the position. We are very curious how this is going to end, but I do love all the media that got to this like yesterday, saying, oh, yeah, we first broke the... Give me a break. Give me a break. We've been talking about this for a month now. Why do we have a Human Rights Commission? Why do we even have this thing? The whole thing should be abolished. You've got 3 other people on this thing who are problematic, like Han Tran, one of the board members in the North Shore School District who voted not to have police on school campuses anymore. That Han Tran. The person who supports Hamas. Why do we have these people on the Human Rights Commission? Yes, these are the people who are doing just a bang-up job for the Human Rights Commission in Washington. Oh, did I mention they get $13 million a year of your taxpayer money? So we have a budget crisis. I know how we can save $13 million. Can we get rid of the Human Rights Commission, please? No, they'll never do that. Wait, I got a better idea. Zach, Turd Ferguson put up the link. I should apply. I should apply. That's it. I'm going to apply for the Human Rights Commission. I think that would be very entertaining.
Rights for people. It's like a Seinfeld episode.
Yes. Yeah, I got you. I'm with you there. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Have the homeless already started moving back into Seattle proper near the stadiums? We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, now that the World Cup is over, my friends, it's going to be a matter of minutes, hours, days, weeks, until our drug-addicted population makes its way back into Seattle proper. Joining us now to discuss from We Heart Seattle, Andrea Suarez. Andrea, welcome back to the studio.
Hello.
Great to have you here. You were at the game yesterday, right?
It was amazing. Yes.
Was it amazing when it was 1-1? Was it still amazing when it was 4-1?
Oh, man. It was just good to be there with all the patriotism and national anthem and red, white, and blue.
We heard the planes buzzing the studio, and I'm like, I know where those guys are going. It was right around kickoff time. Okay, so, Andrea, you left the game yesterday. Did you happen to notice anybody moving back in? I DM'd you right away, and I said, we should go film another Doom Loop video. And you said, Ari, they never left. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I live in Belltown, and Blanchard is sandwiched between the soda zones, stay out of drug area zones. And so it's been a hot spot, never left. Third, second, and Blanchard is an open-air drug market. People are overdosing, litter everywhere, foil everywhere. I walk through it every single day. Third and P was the main area that really got cleared out. So that's the one to really watch, is the corner where McStabby's is.
Ah, gotcha. So you think that's going to come back?
Yeah.
So for me, I know there's World Cup festivities that are still going on for a few more days, maybe the end of this week, the end of next week. There's still a few things going on. But when I was coming back here, I had a walk yesterday. None of the Lime scooters were working. Everybody stole all the ones that did work. The light rail was a mess. I had to walk all the way back to the monorail, hop the monorail to come over here. There's already people sleeping around Climate Pledge Arena because nothing's going on over there. So this seems like they're coming back really quickly. But you did a cleanup last week of one of the parks we went to. What was that like?
For Park Network, Dr. Jose Rizal, Lewis, particularly our open drug markets, hundreds of people openly using thousands of pieces of foil. We did an all-hands-on-deck clean Friday, July 3rd. It was a holiday. We love working on holidays because people don't have an excuse to not show up. And we had Councilman Lynn there, former Council Wu. We had Cairo, Como, Fox 13, lived experience, people still experiencing homelessness. We had over 150 people there, including men and women in recovery, really kind of intervening and, hey, if you're a drug dealer, get out. If you're a drug addict, get help. And that was a message that was well received during that clean.
So that park you and I went to with Jonathan Cho at night. And they threw Ben & Jerry's ice cream at you and Jonathan Cho. Luckily, I was standing behind you guys at that moment because, it was just a line of fire. And what happened was the addicts were telling us, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there. Jonathan says there's gangs operating in there. So you guys not only went back, you went in there and did a cleanup there. What'd you find?
Hundreds of us went in and right into that main corridor with Lewis where we were at, where the Ben & Jerry's, it was broad daylight. And we ran into Kayla, who is the presumed teenager. She told me when I first met her with you, she's 27. Now she was 20 on Friday. Some of the other people that were loitering there said barely 20. I mean, she is underage. And we had walked all the way through the park where everybody had sort of mustered, the very end of the park. And the news, gosh, lame stream media. I'm sorry. I've just got to say that, Ari. I have been using that every day. Lame sauce. I'm from the 80s. We love to use the word lame. But, we brought mainstream in there, and they were the first time they had ever really been able to bring their cameras back in there that deep. And lo and behold, there was the girl again. And I was like, whoa. I didn't recognize her at first because she had this face paint on. And I just said, again, how old are you? And I went, oh my gosh, it's her. And this time she came with me to our truck and to our outreach team. We called The More We Love and said, hey, we've got this girl that's being trafficked. And she was being pulled by these other men, like, don't leave. And then when she pulled away, they said, bring her back, like as if she was a tool out of a shack. It was disgusting and sad. Other men and women there who were, loitering there and drug addicts there said everybody's tried. Lehigh, Urban League, Reach, We Heart Seattle, The More We Love, Ari Hoffman, Jonathan Cho. We've all tried to intervene, and she is so stuck. In fact, she told me about her parents who are also drug addicts, and she's just stuck. There's just no place for her to go.
So she lives at home with drug-addicted parents.
Yeah.
She's being trafficked in Seattle City parks.
Yep.
She was carrying a fentanyl straw and foil when we saw her last. When you found her this time, what kind of shape was she in?
She was bumped and bruised. Her whole hand was scorched from a big burn scar, and she was, didn't have undergarments on, midriff out. We saw her barely clothed when we met her. And, again, people are like, yeah, she's been out here for a couple years, known to be walking King Street completely naked. It's just disturbing. People say arrest the Johns, arrest the pimps. But I honestly think the intervention needs to start with the honey. If the honey's not there, the ants don't come. And even though that is against all of what our opposition says is don't hold the drug addict, accountable for being an addict or the prostitute for trading her body. But, I think we have to take this more seriously if we want to save lives and care about these human beings.
This isn't somebody who's sober enough to make that decision.
She was up for days. She started to hallucinate. She got confused on where she was at, and that's where I had to back away. We walked her. I mean, Joel Marino from Como, his jaw was dropped, tears were in his eyes. He goes, I have never seen something like that in my life. To see an intervention go down like that and the tug of war that happened, and her voice is that of a 13 or 14 or 15-year-old, just so innocent. And we called another provider. She talked about her parents. And ultimately, she got out and she goes, just take me to the bus stop. I want to go home. I can go home. And we said, okay, this is steps of many.
Yeah.
It was very powerful to see what can be done when you are on the ground, and where my call to action is we need millions of dollars on the ground intervening, because the third time might be the charm, or the fifth time or sixth time. But when we're not even on the ground at all, with 500 less cops than we need, and social workers are ideologically driven on what to do, put more people on the ground. Call to action to the churches. Get out there and pick litter. I truly mean it. When you clean up the trash, you save lives. Because if we weren't there cleaning up, we wouldn't have found her.
Yeah. And that video was just heart-wrenching. I mean, I felt the same way I did when we first met her. We're talking with Andrea Suarez from We Heart Seattle about this big litter pick and clean out they did of Jose Rizal Park, which is over as you come down from Beacon Hill. You may not even know it's there on your right as you're heading into Chinatown in the International District. So you guys had this big cleanup that happened afterwards. Did they come back shortly thereafter?
Oh, my God. I went back later that afternoon to, review the trash piles, and I did a hot take for my own video to make sure the whole story was captured and everybody was back in the park. In fact, I did a drug referral to the man that kind of gave me all the information. In one half ring, Ituha, one of our favorite treatment providers, picked up, and they said they had 6 beds available, and I could have taken this man in right then and there. And, of course, it's always, I'll go tomorrow.
Sure.
But there are beds available, and you can call and get people indoors and off these drugs. And he has kids, same thing. All of these people have places to go. Multiple people had tiny houses. She has a parents to live with, but it just attracts this drug-related activity. And not only did we meet Kayla being trafficked, I've met infants, baby Oliver, little babies in Kinnear. Of course, all the dead bodies we found, dead dogs. Drugs, cash, beaten women, seniors being preyed on for the Social Security checks. It's so predatory when we allow it to continue. Ban camping, have higher penalties for this loitering in parks, so that we can, save lives and restore these areas. But yeah, it immediately came back. I went back the next day and the day after, and it returned. And people say, why do you do it? It's futile. You're doing maid service. It's enabling. It's like, no, it's about Kayla. It's about these stories and showing that we can, one person at a time, and that my boots on the ground data is worthy in City Hall. I'm going to Tukwila on July 13th to testify for them to ban camping to sway one vote. I'm really excited about that. DC, policy centers, think tanks call upon us to say, well, what do you see? And why don't you think that camping, tenting and, substance abuse should be allowed in parks? And so it's very inequitable. Thousands of pieces of foil were picked up. Of course, now King County is handing out pieces of information on how to reverse your dog from an overdose. So how bad does it get when we're managing the crisis with Narcan and instructions on how to reverse your dog?
That's crazy. Just before we let you go, Andrea, you mentioned that one of our city council members was down there with you. Mm-hmm. Has there been any follow-up in that regard? Granted, it was July 4th weekend. I'll give him benefit of the doubt that it was July 4th weekend, but now it's July 7th. Now it's July 7th, and tomorrow's July 8th and July 9th, and it's going to be a long summer. Did Councilmember Lynn seem interested in any of this? Did he seem like he was going to do anything about this?
He talked to all of the media outlets. He interviewed and said, gosh, It's a housing problem, but also we need more law enforcement. So at least he's now acknowledging law enforcement as a part of the solution. And there is a 90-day emphasis happening there with Mayor Wilson's announcement that she's no longer going to tolerate all this activity over there. But what are 4 more cops going to do when this situation is so out of hand? I mean, just when they do arrest somebody, now you got 2 cops out for 8 hours.
Right.
Everybody just comes back. It's too big of a problem. I am going to a public safety meeting tonight at 7 where Councilman Lynn will be there, and we'll see what he says then.
Okay, well, keep us informed. Want to know what's going on. And everybody should follow Andrea Suarez and We Heart Seattle over on social media. And also, Andrea, give us your website one time so people can make donations.
WeHeartSeattle.org. We are a 501c3, privately funded. We make a nickel scream. Help us pick up trash and save lives.
Andrea Suarez from We Heart Seattle, the one who's actually solving the drug problems here in Washington, where our politicians do not. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues, including the latest from the Tyler Robinson trial. Even the judge was shocked by some of the things he saw. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder to subscribe to our podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Also, rate and share so that way your friends know how awesome the show is. Well, my friends, usually we save this for crime segments, and this is a pretty awful crime, but instead of doing the arrest side of things, instead of doing the order side of things, we're really going to do more the law side of things right now. The preliminary hearings in the trial of Tyler Robinson, who's the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk, began this week. And there's a few things we're finding out. We heard originally when all this happened that even though the defense is trying to get all this evidence thrown out, some people were saying that if 90% of the evidence was thrown out, they would still have more than enough to convict Tyler Robinson. Today, we got our first look at some of that evidence. Some of it is the security cameras from the school itself, from the university. And what you see is Tyler Robinson checking out various locations on the school security cameras. You see it clear as day. You see exactly what he's doing. You see he knows which ones to avoid. You also see him limping in some of these, which has people speculating where they're parts of the gun that he was carrying on him, which is why he was walking a little funny, as we saw in some of the videos when they were trying to apprehend him. So those videos came out to me today. But one of the things that was most poignant to me was the judge in the case. Yesterday, they showed the video of the assassination itself, and the judge clearly had never seen it before because somebody was filming the judge as he watched the video, and you see him react to that horrible moment when the bullet hits and the blood is spurting, and you see the judge react. A jury's going to react the exact same way. I wish this was being covered by all the media outlets. This should have all the attention on that the OJ trial did. Unfortunately, it's not having that kind of attention, and just conservative media is covering it. So I am breaking my long-standing rule of not covering a trial till I have all the facts and all the evidence, because this killer wanted everybody to see Charlie Kirk get assassinated publicly. We're going to make sure that this trial gets all the oxygen and air it possibly can on our show. We're going to cover everything for you so you have all the updates and you're fully informed. Lots more to discuss during the final hour of Free For All when we come back. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories. Also, Katie Wilson turning off the security cameras. How do you think that's going to end? Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the Democrats are now finally calling for Graham Platner to get out of the race. What was your first indication? The Nazi tattoo, or was it something else? I mean, what really took so long on that? But before we get to any of that, so Seattle Marxist Mayor Katie Wilson earlier today decided it'd be a good idea to announce to the world that she has turned off the security cameras in the stadium area. Zach, good news for me on Fridays. I will tell you why. Because nobody breaks the speed limit the way I break the speed limit on Fridays when I am rushing to get home before Sabbath. And usually I end up going through the 99 tunnel when there's not a Mariners game because nobody's in that sucker. I hit it at full speed, make that turn, cut up to I-5 or Rainier Avenue, cut around that way. I am booking it. So this is huge.
And for the first responders listening right now, can you give an exact speed that you would estimate you tend to do?
Well below the speed limit. I make sure to drive very carefully, very safely in the vehicles I get from my friends.
You drive with the vibes of quickness.
The vibes. I just have.
You drive quick, not fast.
Right. I have the radio on a reasonable volume with the windows completely rolled up the entire time. I am not, most certainly not, blasting 80s arena rock music out of my Dodge Charger, which I got from my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I am certainly not doing that, let me tell you. I will tell you, I know the car has potential to go very, very fast, but I'm an excellent driver. Excellent.
Because my coupe accelerates quickly, but it just seems to have this thing where it tapers off right at the speed limit, and then I maintain that safe speed while I drive. And that's in my car I got from my friends at Facebook Marketplace.
Yes, so I always make sure to leave enough space between me and the vehicle in front of me. I make sure to only pass in the left lane, and I fully signal every time I do that. I made sure that I'm a very, very safe driver. I'm an excellent driver. Anywho, so Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson. She has now announced to the world that she is turning off all the law enforcement cameras in the stadium area. She knows we still have the Mariners games, right? She knows we still have massive events that could be huge casualty events. She does know that, right? No, but the virtue signaling is better. You basically, you dum-dum, just announced to the world that if you commit a crime in this area, the cops have less of a chance of catching you. Hang on a second. Zach, when you go down to the Mariners, do you usually scoot on a desk scooter from here or usually park down there?
Park.
You park. Where do you like to park?
Well, I don't want to tell people because I don't want to give away my spot. But
fair.
I will. No, it's the 4th and Union garage.
4th and Union. Okay, I go somewhere else. I will tell you where I go.
Mine's one by the train station, light rail station.
I know where you're talking
The
about.
International District.
Yeah, I go somewhere else entirely because I beat the rush on the way out. You're going south, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I normally do is I park at the Krispy Kreme. And then what I do is I hook around. That used to be nice for me because I could get a snack, but not anymore because those Nazi bastards got rid of their kosher certification, and now I can't have the tastiest donut in the world. But that's neither here nor there, Krispy Kreme. I'm watching you. You want to sponsor the show? I will talk about how amazing you are if you get your kosher certification back. Anywho, I hook on Occidental, beats all the traffic out of there to go south, cut down, go through Georgetown, hop on I-5 over there if I need to do that, or I cut across to South Seattle. But anywho, when you park down there, the riffraff is there, especially south of the stadium. I know that around.
Why do you think I park north of the stadium?
Near me. When I was down there, what was I down there for? I was down there for the Mariners game on Father's Day. And don't forget, that was a few days before the World Cup was actually going to start. And you could tell they were like a kid cramming for their finals who hadn't studied all semester. So what they were doing was, I was there a few days beforehand for the Mariners versus Mets. And the RVs were still there and the encampments were still there. So I come back for Father's Day, which was, I don't know, a week or two later, and I'm there, and the remnants of the encampment was there, but the RVs were gone, and there were still dudes picking up their stuff and hauling it down the street near the Krispy Kreme. So now you are announcing to the criminal element that you are shutting off the cameras used for preventing crimes in an area which already has a high volume of taxpayer-funded drug addicts living in RVs and tents and everything else. Wonderful. Fantastic. Very excited.
I'll level with you. I don't necessarily like the idea of this surveillance state, But at the same time, we are ill-equipped to handle crime in the first place. I would like them shut off, but I would like them shut off and SPD staffed to a level that we can just maintain that level of safety without having to resort to these cameras.
I feel the exact same way. I don't like the idea of the cameras everywhere, but they told us, you remember this? They told us after the defunding, we're going to get the cameras and then we don't need to do high-speed pursuits anymore because we could just follow the guy to his house. That ain't happening anymore. I don't like the surveillance state idea. I really don't. But what other choice do we have at this point? And the things actually work. Look, nobody ripped these things more than me. On air, I was making fun of them nonstop. But we know when that 70-year-old man got assaulted by the two teenagers, they found the guy because of this. And it was a week of them finding suspects because of these cameras. And then Mayor Fivehead comes along and says, I'm smarter than all this. I'm going to be able to tell my activist base that we're turning them off. So what's your big plan? Oh, they're going to do a study. She says they're going to do a study to find out what to do about this. Here's her exact announcement. Excuse me. Effective this morning, the stadium district cameras are turned off. This follows through on the commitment I made last month that these particular cameras would only be turned on for the duration of the FIFA World Cup in Seattle. Aren't we still having stadium events? Aren't we still having events? There's stuff in the area at the bars and all this other stuff. Zach, doesn't that run for like another week or something? Did you check that out earlier?
Yeah, I tried to. The watch parties are difficult because they're all sorts of different. I'm sure there will be some.
Sure.
I don't know if the Pioneer Square one continues. I don't know all. Everybody's got a different. There's different organizing bodies that put on different parties, and I'm sure they'll be going or not going.
Right.
I don't know.
Speaking of organizing bodies, I mean, like Cowgirls is probably doing their own watch parties, right? They're probably down there. They got a long line out the door. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So she says she only turned them on for the duration of the FIFA World Cup in Seattle because of its high global profile and unique circumstances surrounding the event. Stop.
She said there were credible threats.
That's exactly it.
And I asked her face to face, looked her in her eyes.
Well, I think your face kind of reflected a little, but yes. And then what?
And I said, well, Mayor Wilson, have there been any arrests made? There's been these credible threats. Certainly, we've made some arrests. And she goes, not to my knowledge.
Okay. So there is no mention of the credible threats.
Because they don't exist.
Because we said so at the time. We said so. That was funny. That was a debate between me and the news people. So when news breaks and everybody's got their own take on it, the news people are always like, there are credible threats. I go, there are not credible threats. The story is she's turning off the camera and claiming there are credible threats. And they said, no. She said there were credible threats. And I said, you find out what those credible threats were. Good luck to y'all. You find that
I like
out.
to think she's got a big Frankenstein switch in her office for these cameras and turns them on and then, all right, we're done. And turns it off.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Exactly right. Remind me later to tell you about when I went to the RNC and they showed me the RNC research, what they do to get those videos. That was a very cool operation, speaking of cameras and such. Anyway, in the fall, we expect to receive the audit I announced earlier this year. Okay, anybody want to tell me when the summer officially begins? So hang on a second here. We're at the beginning of July. August, September, when's fall? Labor Day, technically? Or is it a little bit later than that? I don't keep track of my seasons that well, but let's just say it's sometime around Labor Day. So, guess what, criminals? For 2 months, you get the run of the city. Good luck. Good luck. She says we will review city policies and practices governing the use of all cameras connected to the Real-Time Crime Center and the data we store. At that time, we will share the audit publicly and engage thoughtfully around the next steps. You're not going to engage thoughtfully because this is stupid. Either get us more cops or leave the cameras on. Here's something else. They're afraid of ICE. Zach, you have had firsthand experience with this. Where is ICE doing its operations these days?
On the freeways when I'm trying to go to work.
There we go. Why are they doing it on the freeways, Zach?
Delay me in getting to work.
That is not why they're doing it. Yes. Oh, Zach's leaving his house. Let's go mess with Zach.
My tune has changed on ICE after that experience.
That is not why. They do it there so people don't come running out of their homes with the cameras or trying to interfere with their operations because there's no homes on the freeways aside from the homeless people and they're too drugged up to notice.
They're under them. They're under the freeways.
They're under the freeways. There you go. So, oh, you're right. Jay Inslee spent $1 million getting them, $1 million per person getting them off the freeways.
It's a basement dwelling.
Yeah. No, it's a ground floor. It's got an A, like a letter, not a number, right? For the cruddy ground level apartments. There you go. So ICE isn't even in the streets. The cameras are not applicable to this. My guess is Katie Wilson also doesn't want them stopping the human trafficking, doesn't want them cutting down on the prostitution and other crimes, doesn't want them on the protesters. Because do you remember what I found with Jonathan Cho and Andrea Suarez when we were out before the World Cup? Kshama Sawant and her lovable band of lunatics was renting or got gifted a space from King County in the former Kingdom Delhi location, and they were storing all their protest material in this location. What was above that location? One of the brand spanking new cameras installed. So maybe they want them shut off so you can't identify who these activists are, because everything is available to public disclosure. So they say they're going to keep the cameras on in the downtown core, Chinatown International District, and North Aurora, but they're shutting off the ones in the Stadium District? What sense is that? Now you're just virtue signaling. Now you're trying to make your leftist activists just happy that you did this, where they've been yelling at you this whole time. She's been losing their support. She's been absolutely losing their support. So now she's doing this to make them happy and making you less safe. She concludes by writing, "I believe we can keep our city safe, while also protecting our privacy, but finding the best path to that goal will require continued focus and attention with community at the table." Cool. I want to go. I'm a member of the community. I live in Seattle. I deal with high crime. I want to go to your community meeting. You know what? I'm going to reach out to the mayor's office. I volunteer as tribute to be one of the people at the table for this nonsense. I would love to be there for that.
You got a lot on your plate. Human Rights Commission, doing this.
Well, none of them have actually accepted me. I mean, I've got all these ambitions, but, you know, it doesn't seem like any of them really want to choose me. Now, here's the funniest thing. Before she made her dumb announcement, the activists said they were going to have a protest to try and convince her to shut off the cameras. Well, she has the announcement so the activists don't get more mad at her. So you would think the activists say, okay, let's stop with the protesting, right? Nope. Instead, they went forward with their Community Not Cameras rally, organized by the Seattle Solidarity Budget. What does that even mean? By Our Seattle and allied activist organizations. And the rally featured, this is what they were advertising, I haven't seen the video from it yet, speakers including drag performer Miss Texas 1988. Oh, I know why that person doesn't want the cameras. 43rd Legislative District Representative Sean Scott. Oh, do you see what's going on here? It's the Seattle League of Activist Musicians. Sean Scott loves shutting down freeways for protesters. He went out and spoke at the ones who shut down I-5 and shut down the Seattle SeaTac Airport. He's the one who spoke and demanded that they not be prosecuted because it's everybody's right to shut down freeways. I see. Drag performer Miss Texas. This has nothing to do with ICE. This has everything to do with they don't want to be documented doing their activist insanity. Want me to prove it? You want to know who else was there? Members of the Seattle League of Activist Musicians. I'm going to be chased down the street by a bunch of activist buskers. They're just going to be chasing me. That's what's going to be happening. Katie Wilson's weirdo buskers who wear animal masks while playing instruments.
That'll give you nightmares. All of it.
All of it. You remember that video of Katie Wilson busking in the street where she's holding a guitar like a kid who just got his first guitar and has no idea where the hands go on the thing? That's Katie Wilson.
It's as if it was a large mariachi guitar.
Yeah, I don't think she would pronounce it that way. You see, me, I know how to pronounce guitar because I saw Desperado, right? What's in the guitar case? A guitar? No, it's lots of guns and semi-automatic weapons. That's what.
Let's keep doing accents and see how long we keep our jobs.
I could just say it was a bad Jay Inslee impression because they all sound exactly the same. Let's be real about my impressions here. That was my impression of Antonio Banderas. Okay? That is it, in Desperado. Anywho, we know what this activist nonsense is going to be. They don't want you to enforce the laws on them. That's what this is about. Sean Scott, Seattle League of Activist Musicians, 37th Legislative District Senate candidate Tatiana Brown. Well, you weren't on my radar before, lady, but we'll do some looking into who you are. Miss Texas 1988 and all these other activists, they are calling for the permanent removal of police surveillance technology. Funny, they're the same ones who call for permanent removal of the police. That's who these lunatics are. So this is what Katie Wilson's big plans are. Let's see how that works out for them. So earlier we had our friend Andrea Suarez in studio. And Andrea Suarez was talking about the cleanup they did of local parks, how they were checking out these local parks and trying to make sure that they got people the help they needed. Well, she was talking about how the media came out to cover this. Katie Wilson doesn't want anybody covering this because that video of the teenager we found inside that encampment being trafficked went uber viral. Katie Wilson doesn't want that kind of heat. You remember what happened in response to that? She ordered the police out to 12th and Jackson. We all got excited. Oh, she's going to clean it up. Nope. Cops did a little foot patrol, got filmed by Jonathan Cho, and then rapidly left. Luckily, the mainstream media went out there for Andrea's cleanup. Here's Como News' report.
Volunteers gathered to stage a massive community cleanup at 2 city parks.
Literally covered in foil. We are picking up buckets of foil.
It's going to take an all-hands-on-deck approach. That includes housing services, but also law enforcement.
So we're going to cross the bridge where everybody that was actively using has crossed while the rest of us were here cleaning up. We are trying to do some intervention.
Are they trafficking you?
No. In doing this, we reconnected with Kayla, a known teenager being trafficked for drugs. And I'll be right with you guys. Get her water, clothes, immediately.
Suarez says moments like this make it all worth it.
There's more to this than just picking up the trash. We're saving lives. The truth is beneath the trash, and this is a state of emergency. We need more boots on the ground, more outreach so that teenagers like Kayla can be rescued. And just an absolute amazing turnout. And this is vital. We have the Democratic Party here. We have the King County GOP. We have elected officials. We have former officials. We have people in recovery, men and women from Battlefield Addiction, Hope and Chance, The More We Love, Camp United We Stand, We Heart Seattle. What's the common denominator? None of them are funded by taxpayer programs. Yet, they sure look effective because we got hundreds of people out here in recovery, paying it forward, where they once lived. So it really is a demonstration of what can work if we fund programs that give a hand up, not allow you to continue to smoke fentanyl after you've ripped off the community for your drug addiction.
Now, Susan over on the text line makes a really good point. We voted for the cameras and taxpayers funded them. We need to demand they are turned back on since they are owned by the taxpayer. Can't the city council demand they are switched on? Yes, and they were doing that before the World Cup. You want to bet they lose their spine? You want to bet they no longer call for that anymore because the World Cup's over and they figure it's not worth the fight against Katie Wilson? I bet you. Let's see if they actually do it. You know what? I'm going to send a request for comments to the city council. We know how they normally respond to those requests. But here's something else. You can't get mad at Donald Trump for pausing funding of things through Doge and not get mad at this. If you want to get mad at Donald Trump for the stuff he's doing with cutting the funding, my big knock has always been Congress needs to do rescissions, vote on rescissions, to claw back that money to cut the funding, because once you vote something in, it is now law and you have to follow the law. Stupidly, we voted for this kind of stuff when we should have had more cops, but whatever, we'll take it. It is a law. These things have to be on. Katie Wilson cannot just turn them off by law. So when are people actually going to demand that she follows the law now that the World Cup is over? My guess is sometime this weekend, there will be some horrible crime down there because we'll be back to normal Seattle. And then we'll go, where's the video footage? Oh, they're not on right now. Likely that's exactly what's going to happen. You know it, I know it. That is exactly what's going to happen because that's how these things always go down around here. Oh, you meant we should have had the cameras on? Until they get sued, nothing is going to change, unfortunately. And then what happens when they get sued? They have to do a big payout, and then either their insurance rates go up or they had to pay the money, and then they tax us more for their stupid mistakes that were entirely avoidable. Speaking of stupid mistakes that are entirely avoidable, looks like Graham Platner is being pressured to drop out of the race. Now all the Democrats are finally calling him out. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder to subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Also a reminder to check out KVI.com. Go on over there to sign up to become a KVI insider because we have a lot of events that we're working on right now. You want to get all the information on them, on the contest, plus all the new content we put out over at KVI.com.
I mean, there'll be the coverage of, KVI when the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl next year.
Exactly. Yes, we'll have all that too, right? See, I like your forward thinking there, Zach. That's
One
good.
football's over, another one's on its way.
Also, here's something else. You know, the Seahawks still haven't been invited to the White House? They still haven't been invited to the White House from winning the Super Bowl. I have some questions about that for our president. But I'm going to leave him alone today because the questions today are being directed at Graham Platner. When is he actually going to resign? Oh, you mean nominating a guy who's got a Nazi tattoo and a history of alleged sexual abuse was a bad idea?
I think they're called Democrats.
Very good, Zach. Very good. That's right. Drops the headphones, walks away from the mic. Very, very good. I mean, the Democrats, why are they dumping him now? Because his fundraising has dried up. Why are they dumping him now? Because all of a sudden, his polling has gone through the floor. I mean, his polling is lower than Marjorie Taylor Greene running for senator of Georgia. Her polling is lower than Jay Inslee running for president. Is Dean Wormer still here? Is Dean Wormer still in the studio? Because we can have him do the polling on Jay Inslee right now running for president.
0.0.
That's why they're dumping this guy. So it's just like Joe Biden again. Joe Biden has the massive psychotic breakdown just because he's old and senile during the debate against Donald Trump. And what happens? Everybody said we can't ignore this anymore. They've been ignoring it for a really long time, but now we're going to lose the election. We know we just had a primary, but Kamala, you're up. So the Democrats, who always complain about threats to democracy, hundreds of thousands of people in Maine, Mainers as they're called, hundreds of thousands of them voted for Graham Platner. You made your bed, you sleep in it with Graham Platner. Oh, God, that's awful. For a lot of other reasons, especially for the new report. Zach, another scandal just broke while we were on air today. It's so bad, I don't want to talk about it on air.
Another one.
Exactly. It is that bad, involving what happens when you sleep in a bed with Graham Platner. I am not discussing this on air. It is that bad. Even if this is the top news story of the day tomorrow, I'm not giving you any details. Not going to do it, but let's just say.
Well, now I'm going to Google.
Well, let's just say nobody should be surprised by any of his shenanigans. Let's just say consent is not this guy's thing. And, you know what? I'm going to leave it right there. There are kids in the car. Anyway, the Democrats didn't dump Graham Platner when his social media post surfaced in which he described himself as a communist, when he used anti-police rhetoric and called for abolishing the police, disparaged rural white Americans, discussed political violence, and made comments suggesting that people should take some responsibility, that women should take some responsibility to avoid getting raped. And that was back in October. And the Democrats didn't dump him then. They didn't dump him after a video revealed that he had a chest tattoo of a Nazi SS Totenkopf symbol 4 days later. They didn't dump him when he said he was a student of World War II, but didn't know what a Totenkopf was. You want to explain that one to me? The SS and the Nazis factor very heavily into World War II.
A student of World War II. Which class?
My guess he was on the side of them. You know, I mean, that's really what it is there. I mean, come on, guys. Anywho, they didn't dump him when, in May, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal reported that his wife had informed senior campaign staff that he exchanged sexually explicit messages with multiple women while married. They didn't dump him when it turns out he was on a predator website. Didn't dump him for any of this at all. They kept him around. Now, because of these sexual allegations, they're dumping him? No. It's because his money dried up. It's because his polling plummeted, and they know he can't win. I just want to remind everybody of some of the people like Bernie Sanders who are supporting Graham Platner.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Platner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
Woo! Yeah, bring in the guy with the Nazi symbol. Woo! What about Elizabeth Warren? What'd she say about him?
That's my kind of man.
That's your kind of man. That's your kind of man. By the way, the only Democrat we haven't heard from yet is Elizabeth Warren. She's still the only one. I was giving it the whole show today to see if she would actually. Nope, still hasn't said anything. How disappointing. Then Fox News did this comparison between when Eric Swalwell was denying all the allegations and Graham Platner. They're almost identical. Give a listen.
That you see and hear from me directly.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
I'm going to spend time with my family and friends, and I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support.
We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love.
Yeah, almost identical. You know, I think I know how this meeting with the Democrats went in the past couple of days. I think I have an idea.
So Karen tells me you want the full colonoscopy, huh?
Oh, dude, no. We both know, I think, how dumb these things are. You know how it is. It's just due diligence with all the turbulence. And can I just need to check a few boxes?
Sure. Thank you for the show of faith.
No problem. Okay, right. Okay, so this is embarrassing, but just for the record and just so we have it, you are not and have never been a member of the Nazi Party of the United States, have you?
Come on, Tom, are you serious?
Nope. Thank you. Sorry to have to even ask. And, oh yes, the Hitler dog thing.
Okay, the dog thing's bullshit. Great, I thought so. Different spelling.
Okay, different spelling?
Yeah.
Okay, and this other one that came up, just to fend this off, have you ever read Mein Kampf?
Yeah, a couple times, I guess.
Couple times? Are there Easter eggs in there you didn't get the first time?
Look, I'm interested in that period of history, Tom, okay? I've skimmed it.
Skimmed, yeah, thank you. And what specifically do you find interesting about that period of history?
The scale, the tragedy.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and which tragedies specifically?
Europe decimated. 7 million Germans, 20 million Russians, 5 million Poles.
Yeah. Just checking the till here, Mark, and it seems you're short a few million.
Yeah. Seems like Graham Platner is short a few circuit boards up top, but the Democrats were backing this guy the whole time. Up next, my friends, the latest on what's going on in Iran. Your calls, your texts during our final hour free-for-all. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, this weekend is the Bremerton Air Show. I will be out there on Sunday. The event is Saturday and Sunday. KVI will be out there on Saturday and Sunday. I believe Mr. KVI will be out there on Saturday. Young Zach doesn't know when he's going yet. He's going to work out his schedule, right? Don't know yet?
I'll be there at some point.
He'll be there at some point, right. I will be out there on Sunday. I'll be there for the morning shift, which I think is 10 to 2 or something like that. So I'll be there out there 10 to 2. I'll be doing that. I'm more than happy to meet you. So come on out to the Bremerton Air Show. Would love to see you. And you can have your very own American flag like the kind I gave out to everybody at the Great American State Fair in Washington, D.C., and your own pocket constitution. That's right. You can have the full Ari Hoffman D.C. experience. I will give you the exact same things and tell you fun stories I can't say on air. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Mike in Everett. Mike, what's going on?
You know, the sad part about this is that you can't trust the Democrats on anything when it comes to getting rid of this guy. There's so many reasons to get rid of him, but you can't trust any of them. Take a look at what they did with Adam Schiff. They brought in one little thing after another, like in giving him different opportunities to leave on his own. And then they dumped on him. For all we know, they're doing that now.
You mean Swalwell?
But at the end of it,
do you mean Eric Swalwell? Is that who you mean?
Yeah, I meant Swalwell. I'm sorry.
I'm like, I know they both suck, but we have to be accurate here, right?
You're right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just had an old man brain fart there.
No problem.
However, what comes down to it, though, is if it's hurting their fundraising too much, you can't trust them for anything because the money's so important to them. Even if they can't Swalwell him out of it, then they'll just Kavanaugh him out of it with making something up. We'll never know if any of this stuff actually did happen or not. There's so many reasons to get rid of him, but they're never going to stop until he's gone because they're hurting the cash flow.
Yeah, exactly. It was when the polling went down. It's when they couldn't bring in the money anymore because who's going to give the money to the Nazi? Well, I mean, there's plenty of Democrats who like that kind of stuff. But, yeah, they're not going to support that kind of stuff, and he was out of it. You're exactly right. And the thing is, the Democrats... Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
There is one more thing that I wanted to answer your question about why you're never going to hear Elizabeth Warren say anything more about it. I think she finally understands my dad's old saying.
What's that?
Not even a fish would get caught if it just kept its mouth shut.
My wife and I went to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas the last time we were there. I'd never been to the Mob Museum before. Not the DNC, Zach. You're funny though, but that's funny. They don't have a museum, so we're out at the Mob Museum, and they have these magnets of sayings from mobsters. And there's nothing metal, actually. Ironically enough, in my studio, I wanted to put this on it right here. I tried, but it's a magnet which was by John Gotti. And it's never say anything you don't want played back to you in court. And I'm like, that is perfect for us. Mike, appreciate the humor today. Appreciate the observations. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. In fact, we have a very special guest joining us on the KVI studio line, Representative Eric Swalwell himself, to weigh in on this. Now, Representative, you've had a while since you've been out of office. Can you be honest about what happened between you and the Chinese spy?
I shagged her.
Okay. Excuse me, Representative, I'm not sure you really want to be admitting that on air in front of our very, very large audience.
I shagged her rotten, baby, yeah.
Okay, well, dude, I mean, like, didn't you use protection or something? I mean, she's a Chinese spy, right?
Of course. I have a 9mm automatic.
Okay, all right, enough of you. There are children listening to the show.
I like that I get to add Eric Swalwell to my vault of interviews and pictures that have not aged well. Did a whole interview with that guy.
What did he say to you again? What were you talking about?
I asked him what the biggest threat facing our country was, and he gave me some answer that meant nothing to nobody. And then I was like, well, I would have thought China. And I walked off.
I do remember that. Is that in the list here? You go. You see if it's in the thing here.
Well, it's kind of dated.
It's kind of dated. All right,
2 years old now.
Okay, but you don't have any interviews with Graham Platner, right? He wasn't a thing at the DNC. No. We do have that interview with, what's-his-face, Matt Gaetz floating around somewhere. We've got that one. We've got all kinds of interesting interviews. We have some that have never seen the light of day because they're
Barry Goldwater Jr.
That one, we aired that one. I think we aired that one because it was just entertaining. I think we set it up with the crustiest man you've ever heard in your life as he's snorting and hacking on the show. It was something. Leaving his garbage in our booth, that was something.
Since we've come this far,
yes,
it was Christmas time. We had candy canes out. He was enjoying a candy cane until it was time to go on to the interview, and then took it out of his mouth, threw it onto the ground as it shattered, and he went, all right, let's do this.
While he snorted and hacked. It's like when my grandfather woke up in the morning. That's what Barry Goldwater Jr. was like. That was something. Switching gears entirely to what's going on in the Middle East. So last night, you had Iran attacking a few ships, and you go, is he attacking U.S. ships? Or who are they attacking? No, he decided to attack Saudi Arabia and Qatar's ships. And they were not happy about this at all. So the U.S. said, all right, you don't get to sell oil anymore, and we're going to bomb you again. At this point, I just say, can we just go ahead and finish the job? Enough of this nonsense. You're not going to make peace with these terrorists. It's not going to happen. They're going to keep doing this. Just keep doing what Israel does. Keep removing levels of power until you get to one that's actually reasonable. And you say, you want to meet God so bad, we'll arrange the meeting unless you do what we want. How about we just go back to that? That might actually work out. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your afternoon, evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And I just want to say, I know we've been bashing the World Cup a lot and making fun of the World Cup a lot, but we haven't actually been making fun of the World Cup so much as Seattle's preparations for the World Cup and Seattle putting on this facade for the World Cup. I want to say it was great fodder for news. It was great fodder for sports. Zach's our sports guy, right? It was great fodder for all that stuff. And seeing the American stuff, I was only down there for a few minutes yesterday. I came down to meet our news friends who were down there and try and help out and maybe pack up the booth a little bit. But I came down there thinking to get some man on the street interviews, and I didn't even necessarily want to because it was so much fun just people watching. And the smell of the hot dogs and the everything, the amount of people that were there. I go to sporting events all the time. That was a sea of people, even bigger than a playoff, because everybody wants to be in the bars surrounding it. For the playoff games, you don't have lines out the bars of people who want to be there. And it was really amazing. I mean, it really sucks for people in Chinatown who got sent all the homeless people as opposed to all the customers. But for the businesses that have suffered for so long under COVID and all this other stuff, I'm glad for the bars in Pioneer Square. I'm glad for the restaurants. I'm glad for the hotels. I just feel bad for everybody else who didn't get to be part of it. I really, really do. I wish I could have done what you did, Zach. You march in with all the fans.
Oh, man.
And you go,
I didn't get to do it yesterday, but I got to do it during U.S.-Australia.
I didn't see any videos of it yesterday.
There's some out there.
There are.
It's pretty good.
It didn't seem like the same kind of thing it was beforehand. But
you're right, it was bigger.
Yeah. The amounts of people down there, I mean, Zach, me taking the death cycle down the waterfront, holy cow, nobody listens to traffic signals. And those little bells don't work for you-know-what.
I have never seen a sporting event like that, ever.
Mm-mm. No.
And I think some of the atmosphere was aided by the fact that we don't really care about soccer.
That was also part of it.
Because we lost and no, it was okay.
Everybody, here's the fascinating thing. You know, normally after a team loses, everybody goes home. Nobody went home because they were enjoying the atmosphere, it felt like. There was a bigger line to get into that bar where Northwest News Radio was yesterday after the game was over than beforehand. That was nuts.
And we keep talking about this like a facade, but for the last couple weeks, 2 months, it's been the reality. I have friends that live in the city, and they said it's never been more fun to be in the city than it is right now.
Yeah.
And I hope that can continue at least through this summer, but we're capable of this.
Right, and that's the most frustrating part. I know this is the good news segment, but we can do this. It can be done. As I've been saying all week since last week in D.C., decline is a choice. And you know what? In D.C., I was talking the first couple days, I was talking the 2 days I was on air in D.C. about how nice it was and how they cleaned it up. Look, I know not everything is cleaned up. It's impossible to clean up everything. How do I know? My wife was making fun of me about this. The Airbnb where we were staying was in Georgetown. There's a wooded area near it. And I go, sweetie, there's an overturned shopping cart. What do you want to bet there's a homeless encampment inside those woods? And wouldn't you know, some guy at that exact second, like it was time to come staggering out of the woods. He wasn't a fentanyl addict, but something else was going on there. Yeah, every city has crime. But it doesn't need to be the main feature of your city. The Americana, the patriotism, the music. All right, Zach, I'm going to make a confession. Yesterday, there was a street band, buskers, and they don't look like Katie Wilson kind of buskers. They look like guys who can actually play. These guys were out there, and they were playing Nirvana right outside the stadium.
I think those are the guys that normally play outside of T-Mobile Park.
Okay.
You know, when you're coming out of the game.
I think we go out different sides. They're on a different side. But anyway, those guys were out there, and I'm like, I was actually enjoying the Nirvana, and everybody knows I hate Nirvana. I was actually enjoying it. The whole atmosphere was what Seattle could be, decorated in red, white, and blue.
When everybody on this station says that we want to fight for Seattle and fight for Washington, this is what we mean.
This is exactly it. You want more of this? This is what we want. I would love to be stuck in traffic again because everybody's going downtown. I would love for the light rail to be filled with people because everybody's going to an event downtown. I would love for there to be traffic because there's sun going on at the space. You know, there's sun going on at the waterfront. There's sun going on at the stadiums. I would love that. I would absolutely love it. I will figure it out. I will complain about it, but I will figure it out. We could be that again. And I'm just so concerned that it's not going to be that way much longer. I've been telling everybody, Zach, check me on this. I've been telling everybody since we started talking about the World Cup, if we have it, enjoy it while we have it. That's been our message because unfortunately we know it's probably going away soon, and that actually makes me sad. My wife and I went down to the waterfront just a few days before the World Cup started, and we go, why can't it always be like this? I moved here for this reason. You want to know why we fight so hard for this kind of stuff? Because you just had a glimpse of what we could be. It doesn't have to be just when you go to Florida. It could be all the time. It actually breaks my heart that it's not, because it really was so awesome. It was so awesome. And now it's all kind of going away.
And almost none of it had anything to do with soccer.
Nothing to do with soccer. You think any of those people... Zach, I can't even name the guy who got red carded. I can't.
Well, I can name him. Who knows if I can pronounce him?
There you go.
Valerian Bulligan.
Whatever his name is, right? I don't even know who he is. The whole thing was just, it was a lot of fun, and I'm really going to miss that, Seattle. I'm going to miss all the people chanting USA, USA. I'm really going to miss it. I'm going to miss all of it, because soon we're going to have empty light rails again and empty Pioneer Square again. No, it won't be empty. We'll have a few other things come back. That's going to about wrap it up for us today, my friends. Fear not, however, because tomorrow we will be back with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and more chances to win $3,000 or take the trip. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.